Yep, we are being live streamed. I got it. Okay. Welcome back,
Senator
committee.
Cummings,
Yes,
my apologies to interrupt. Do you want to use closed captions or not?
sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, I assumed they were just standard now. They're only a distraction if we read them. Okay. Um, this is the Senate Finance Committee. I'm going to call us to order, even though this is just a welcome back kind of general committee organizing day. I'm assuming it'll be fairly short. We've got a full plate. We got 5 bills today. Last year we did a good job of cleaning our plate. There isn't too much left that we intended to get out that we didn't. Take a look at it. I know Faith can send you the list. If there's something there that you wanted to get out that we didn't get to, let me know. But nothing jumped out at me. Big issues. I'm going to try and clean up some things fairly quickly. I have a little bill, which has to do with the overpayment. The city of Barry overpaid its property taxes in its TIF district. This one does some general authorizing for the Department of Ed to make those adjustments in the future if that happens. I put that in for discussion, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of controversy around the fact that Barry did overpay and we should pay them back. And I'll put that on as soon as we can and we'll get it out there. We got another proposal, a new proposal for Rygate. I don't know. I know they've talked to me, they've talked to Senator McDonald, but I've heard 2 different versions of what they're going to be proposing. That bill came to us, and I think we'll take that up quickly and either deal with it or not, depending on where we come down. The other issues we got 2 bills on cannabis fees and taxes. So we're going to spend probably one day. I'm assuming one of those bills reflects the recommendation of the Cannabis Commission, and that the other one probably has a variation on that theme. I haven't had a chance to read them, but we'll have them all in, and that may be something we can dispense with quickly. The waiting study, we're going to get a briefing tomorrow, I believe, this week, just from Senator Hardy and Representative Kornheiser, and Senator Brock is here to chime in. When I talked to Senator Campion last week, he was hopeful that that bill could start in the House and then come to us. But Representative Ansel, when I talked to her yesterday, thought it was starting in the Senate. So I don't know. We'll get it, I think, to us in its impact on the ed fund. I think we will, and we will also get anything of increases in payment, regular today costs from the pension, whatever agreement is reached in the pension, the present cost of the pension, plus I believe the House is going to put teachers, what do they call them? OPEP, other post-employment benefits in the ed fund. So we will be looking at that. I think we're going to spend a lot of time on property taxes this year. I'm anticipating somewhere, and quite possibly, since there's a surplus, there will be a proposal to reduce property taxes. I'm interested in figuring out how much of that is one time, how much of it is ongoing. We have proposals to do the property tax based on income and taking a look at how that might work out and what impact that might have on any elasticity at the top of the tax brackets. Because we regularly have proposals to tax the rich, but identifying them gets a little more difficult, and identifying wealth is even more difficult. So I want to start having those discussions, and also some discussions on when we start talking about money, perhaps raising money or raising more money from wealthier people, what other competing interests are out there. I know that both long-term care and mental health have been chronically underfunded. And those are some of our safety net programs. And just make sure before we make decisions that we know what's in, what's out, and what we may be excluding. So I think we'll spend some time on that. And then there's broadband. I'm hoping we're going to get a whole lot more money, but we'll spend probably a couple days hearing from the board. Is that what we finally called it? And their reports, also from the CUDs, get some progress reports, find out what efforts they're making, what's, just what's happened since we left and what we need to do, and hopefully then have a plan for spending any anticipated federal money, which hopefully will come in before we leave. Climate change and energy. Right now, I don't have anything there, but the potential for proposals is out there. Senator Bray, I think you're going to get most of the climate change proposals. Some of them may then come to us, but we'll take a look. I think that's the big ones on my list. Anybody else have any? I know climate workforce probably won't hit us unless it will if some of the proposals come through for tuition forgiveness, tax, no income tax for the first 3 years was one of the governor's proposals. That those will definitely come to us. So, Senator Pearson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have heard that there are some thoughts around tweaks to current use, particularly as it relates to forests. So I don't know if or where that's coming from, but just thought I'd flag that because I have heard discussion about that. And I like a lot of your priorities. I've been wondering I do agree that we're going to have pressure to cut taxes from the governor. And one of my ideas, I guess, is to, rather than necessarily cut rates, to try sort of a tax credit approach. tax expenditure, and that always gets confusing. And so I don't know if there's time to just have kind of a tax expenditure 101, but I do think there's so much unmet need that rather than just look at tax rates, if we had that ability to sort of stimulate some private investment as a way to earn tax rebates, maybe that would be a strategy.
Okay. I understand that there is a child tax credit bill being introduced in the House today. That would be a major tax cut. It's, I believe, basically the same as the federal proposal that isn't making it. So that would be a major help to families with children. It will come to us, but I think as we're looking, we definitely will start taking some testimony as it works its way through the House, because the pressure at the end of the session this year could be really awful. It was bad enough last year, given the fact that I'm still not sure where some bills are and what proposals got taken off and added on. So we're trying to figure that out. Okay, Senator Bray.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I'm wondering where in the scheme of things, tax code modernization, whatever we want to call it, fits. I mean, we had testimony off session, and I don't know if you're planning on implementing it at all, or a portion, or it seems like it's kind of like you're in for an inch, you're in for a mile almost on that stuff. I don't know what you're thinking there.
I know the tax commissioner, the administration, and the Ways and Means Committee would really like that corporate tax modernization to go through. It would help local business and corporations, and again, and then it would also make adjustments to the corporate minimum tax. So the and I haven't heard that that's particular. We need to go into it in more detail. We obviously have not had the time that the House has to go into it. But that one doesn't sound as controversial as the cloud tax. That was originally put in as kind of an offset for any projected revenue loss. The tax commissioner, everybody's playing with the numbers depending on where you are, and they think that the revenue loss might be none to minimal. So we'll definitely be looking at that. And probably as part of our whole discussion on taxes, modernization of the tax code is something that would probably be really good to start next year, the first year of a biennium, and work through, because that gets to be very time consuming and very geeky, but I do intend to take up, and if you're willing, we'll get out at least that corporate tax code. Okay, I've got Senator Brock and then Senator Hardy. I think that's.
The only thing I was going to mention is, of course, we had the Tax Structure Commission report.
Yes.
It's sitting on our desk, and recall that the reason we had the Tax Structure Commission was because we had the Blue Ribbon Tax Commission that didn't get its work done completely, and as a result of it stretching over, we made so many changes to the tax code that we had to start all over again in terms of doing a study that looked at all the three major taxes. And my concern is, as we continue to delay dealing with the Tax Structure Commission report, and we continue to tinker with the tax system in the interim, we're going to be back where we were before of having the report be obsolete by the time we get around to doing anything with it. So that's just a general concern that I have about, the delay. I realize, although the difficulty of dealing with major tax issues in the second year of a biennium.
Well, I intend to take up the present tax report. I've been trying to see if I could get somebody to come in to talk to us about the previous one. That hit during the recession. And I know about all we did was collapse the top two tax codes. And then we did a whole rewrite when the federal tax cuts hit, and it looked like Vermonters were going to pay $30 million more because of the tax cut. We've still got some issues with that. But I do intend, the big one in that last thing was switching education to an income-based tax. And so we're going to take that up. The other one was taxation on telephone poles. And I forget, there was one on property tax, on sales tax. And I'm not remembering. I think it suggested that we start looking at taxing services, which is something we should look at. It was in the first taxation, but that is definitely a first year of the biennium issue. And the cloud tax did start with taxing cloud services, so it might be better to lump all those into the next year. But I do intend to go through the three segments of the top property tax. The big one that we'll probably spend the most time on is the recommendation for the income base, and see where that goes. Okay, Senator Hardy, you're next.
Thank you. Yeah, I was going to mention the income tax base for education taxes. There's a bill coming on that, and that was actually one of the recommendations, not only from the tax structure committee, but also from the pupil weighting task force, that we do more work on that. And the JFO has finally gotten the data from the tax department to be able to run a model of it and how it impacts varying types of taxpayers. So we should certainly have, I believe Deb Brighton is the consultant who ran that. We should have her in to talk about it.
And Deb Brighton is the one that wrote the section in the tax study.
Correct. So we did talk about that in the task force. And so I think it's timely to talk about that again. And in terms of the task force, there's not actually one bill for that. It's a series of different things that I think could be split up amongst the four committees, the four relevant committees.
Okay.
And so we should talk about that further if you want, Senator Cummings.
That'll probably come up at chairs. The chairs have a meeting today, and I would anticipate that leadership, who is usually determines how things get split up, will have something to say to us at this point.
Okay. I was going to ask the same question that Senator Bray did about the stuff we took testimony on in the off session and whether we were going to come back to it. It sounds like we will for the corporate tax stuff at least. And then my final question was, we had asked the tax department for some like little reports or to get back to us with information last year about a number of things. I know there were two things that I specifically got into bills asking them for information about, and I was wondering when we can have them in to talk about it. One was related to helping municipalities with valuing large projects, like it came up because of the Salisbury digester. And there are others, dams and solar projects and things like that. And then the other thing I asked for was data about property value, different types of property and in the non-homestead property category and how we can differentiate them.
Okay.
And they were doing some work with their whole system, and we're going to be able to provide better data. And I can't remember all the details, but it was basically, how do you differentiate between a business, a small business, a second home, and all these other things that are considered non-homestead? Because right now they're all lumped in as one thing, as a non-homestead,
Right.
when in reality they can be very, very different types of property.
If you email that to me, we will have the commissioner in. I'm waiting until after the governor's budget address. I know I had our annual meeting a month ago, maybe with the tax commissioner. He's got a few housekeeping things that he wants us to do. That's usually what becomes the miscellaneous tax bill.
Yep.
But we will have him in, and we'll get that to him so he can bring it. Wait, Jake is coming with. We've got him coming in because I said it was okay for Jake to come with him. So we'll check. But if you email that to Faith, we'll get it over and see if so that they can come prepared.
Okay, sure.
But
We'll
those are not really difficult things to do. Okay. Senator Bray. Now, you're muted, Senator.
Thank you. I have a question, and Senator Sorokin may be able to chip in on this one. I mean, we're all very aware of the need for more housing, particularly affordable housing. And one of the bigger efforts of the last several years involved, that I think it was a $37 million bond. So finance had something to do with that. I don't know to what degree you're anticipating finance playing a role in supporting accelerating the progress we hope to make on housing, addressing the housing shortage. And maybe it's all going to come through appropriations because we have federal money available. I don't know.
The only thing I can add on that is we have a bunch of housing bills that are going to cost money and will impact like down tax credits by committee. So they'll definitely come to finance as well. I haven't heard much talk of a second housing bond. I think all roads lead to the treasurer's office on that. There's a lot of people who supported that, but she continued to maintain it would affect our bond rating and it was not doable. And until that is lifted, I think until that cloud is lifted, I think it will be lifted.
Yeah, we have to have a dedicated funding source for the bond market. So
Too bad because money was incredibly cheap for years.
Yeah.
It's about to get more pricey.
So I think right now we're basically thinking one-time money and just getting as much of it out the door as we can.
Madam Chair, probably those that will have money committees deal with housing policies. Well, I've talked to Senator Bray about them, but I think a lot of us feel that it's not all about the money for housing. There's also some land use policy and other things and tax that can ease development and speed up development.
Yeah. Yeah. There's having the money and then there's getting it sited and built, which can be two different things. But we will get into that peripherally when it comes to paying for it and anything other than a one-time grant of federal money, which would go through a PROPS, but anything involving tax credits. I know there's a proposal out there, and I sent the realtors to talk to you, Senator Sorokin. One proposal they think is in Senator Ram Hinsdale's bill is for a land bank. And the other one was trying to do money to fix up. And I know we've been trying for several years, using that to fix up housing that is substandard, dilapidated, that could be improved and used as rental or more affordable housing. The other one they brought to me, and I sent them to you to see if you had a vehicle, was to set up a down payment savings account similar to a healthcare savings account, which means pre-tax income it would be taken out. But they came to me 2 weeks ago. It was past the deadline. And it's something we can take some testimony on. Might do better as a housing, as part of a whole housing bill.
Both,
Yeah.
both, they did come. Thank you for sending them away. I actually did not connect with them until about 10 days ago. I actually find certainly the tax credit idea, the 529 plans, as a very creative way. Apparently it's being done in one state where it can help force savings for young. The other two, we actually have started down that road in the appropriations bill last year with
Yeah,
VHIP,
I thought we had.
the VHIP program and the revolving loan programs, which gives people money to fix up their home when they buy it. So if VHFA has an assistance program, but what they find is some of the homes that are on the affordable range are dilapidated, that in addition to the down payment, they need some front money to fix it up to make it livable. And there was, I think, $1 million put in the budget to do precisely that. I don't think they've got the program up and running yet.
Yeah.
That money has already been appropriated.
I know just from my experience, the worst kinds of sales to do were lower income, poorer people trying to sell a house that they hadn't had the income to maintain, and poorer people getting a subsidized mortgage. And those companies, the subsidizers, don't want any unanticipated expense, and nobody has the money to fix the house so that everybody can afford it. So yeah, that would
Well,
help.
And I
That
think
would
your
help
I
big
think your
time.
experience is exactly it in a nutshell. Our program.
Okay. So we'll get into housing peripherally. I
Yeah,
think.
I'm not too worried about the deadline passing. We can find a home for those ideas if they're merit.
Okay. Well, if we decide it's a good thing to do, we can always find a place to put it. Miscellaneous tax is our favorite. Okay, Senator Pearson.
Speaking of deadlines, what is the deadline for committee bills? I think it's the end of the month, but I'm curious if anyone knows.
30th.
I don't.
I think it's January 30. I'll double check, make sure that's right.
Yet it's the second year it's tight, and it doesn't seem to have stopped anything. Because I think the reason is to keep it from all backing up and let us finish and get out of here. And it doesn't seem to have worked this year.
I stand corrected. It's the 31st
Of January.
of January.
Okay. And with permission, you can do almost anything, anytime. So if an issue comes up, and I just had a news break pop up that says we had 249 COVID cases yesterday, but this thing says we broke another record. Now, I know we did New Year's Eve. I haven't heard what happened over the weekend. I'm assuming there'll be another surge for New Year's Eve parties, but hopefully after that it'll dissipate. Hopefully.
Big numbers
Yeah,
tend to come at the end of the week and small numbers at the beginning of the week.
that's because we party and it takes 5 days for it to.
Probably the result of how things are reported.
Yeah, so we'll see. But for now, at least for a couple weeks, we are remote. How is it being back in the committee room, Senator?
Empty.
I know, that's where I've been having meetings with everybody that's wanted to have a meeting. Is the sad dog still there? I specifically requested that the sad dog picture be removed. It was depressing you.
The dog catcher has been here.
It's gone? Good.
Yeah.
Don't tell me as long as they didn't put the King Charles Spaniels on the velvet pillow in its place. Okay. So maybe we'll all get to see the artwork in the committee room soon. Anything else on anyone's mind?
Senate Natural could send you the picture of this sad bunny watching the hunter walk away with his brother or sister, dragging him
Oh,
by the ears.
I've seen that one.
Uh,
But you have to study that one a little harder than this bigger than life hound that looks like he's just done something very naughty, and he's very sad. So anyway, lost my train of thought here. Oh, yes, I have taken a picture, but I have told everyone not to remove our March 2020 calendar with the happy dog.
They already removed it.
They didn't.
I will retrieve it.
No. I want that calendar. It's
I will-
it's an
I shall.
icon.
I shall retrieve it.
Yes, retrieve it. It is an icon of maybe when we get back there, we can ceremonially lay it to rest somewhere. But it was our last day. We just didn't circle the date. Okay. So we will see you all tomorrow when we start work in earnest. Faith and I will be doing the agendas on Thursdays at noon if anyone wants to join us, and or send suggestions either for topics or witnesses in, and we'll see where they go. Okay. Good. Thank you. I think we can go off live and everybody can go read all those reports.